Good afternoon, everybody. I am happy to be joined here by my partner, Speaker Bass, and Senator Mark Leno, and the chair of our Senate Budget Committee, Senator Denise Ducheney. We want to express, first of all, our thanks to our colleagues and to the tremendous staff on both sides of the House and both sides of the aisle for their tremendous work in helping us achieve what we think is a monumental victory here today. Rather than repeat much of what I have said, I would prefer to actually quote directly from a statement just released by the State Treasurer, Bill Lockyer, in which he says the following. If we throw away an $18 billion solution under these circumstances, of course the circumstances which we all are familiar with, quote, investors will throw up their hands in disgust, and we likely will suffer the humiliation of seeing our credit rating sink even lower. Now, I know that some of you are hearing whispers from the governor's office that the economic stimulus package is not good enough, strong enough. We want to point out to you that certainly on the Senate side, and I believe much is true on the Assembly side as well, that the main item of contention, the public-private partnership, the design build, the CEQA reform, garnered 11 Republican votes in the state Senate. And a number of Democrats voted against it because they worried that it weakened environmental regulation. So if that's not strong enough for the governor to make an $18 billion plus dent in California's budget deficit, we're not quite sure what will. Last comment, and I will turn it over to the speaker. The governor has a sign down in front of his office that apparently speaks to the number of days the legislature has not acted. Our message today is this: Governor, take down that sign. We acted. Speaker Bass?
That's certainly a great way to begin, asking the governor to take down that sign, because we acted both in the Senate and in the Assembly. I'm proud to say that we have finished our session in the Assembly, passing all of the bills out without much controversy. I am excited that both houses came together. My partner, Senator Steinberg, and I have proposed an $18 billion dent in a $38 billion problem. This is the only proposal, and has been the only proposal on the table that has the votes. I, with much joy, sent my caucus home and told them that I will see them at the beginning of the year, because I am most confident that the governor will be our partner, will sign this legislation, because I know that he feels the urgency that we all do, as we heard yesterday from the treasurer and from the controller, that 2,000 projects are now put on hold, which means California's unemployment rate will increase because of those projects that are put on hold. We are very hopeful that this will be a strong indication to the markets that California is back on the rise and will solve its problem. And maybe those projects do not have to be delayed as long as we thought. And so I look forward to the governor's signature on this, and I also look forward to continuing our partnership with him so that we can solve the $20 billion left. And I am hoping very much that over the holidays, that my colleagues on the other side of the aisle will recognize that the Democrats today, we broke our pledges. We broke the reason why we came up here, to protect and expand the social service net. They pledged not to vote for taxes. We pledged not to cut education. California is in a crisis. We broke those pledges, and we did what was right by the state of California. And I am hopeful that my colleagues on the other side of the aisle will give that serious thought, and come January, they will be willing to join with us and give the vote so that we can have our next solution be a bipartisan two-thirds solution. Thank you.
Anything this morning, or this afternoon, I should say, from the governor's office as to what he intends to do with this?
No.
Not a word?
He's not called.
No. Talked to the governor, as I said earlier, late last night. It's a very cordial conversation, but no commitment either way.
How about you?
Been a lot, guys, have been a lot of talk about a lawsuit. Is there anything that could place this on hold? Any sort of injunction that could prevent this from going into effect?
Well, first off, we need the governor's signature. Secondly, we believe we're on very solid legal ground. You know, I know this is not a courtroom, but the voters, in fact, were presented with this very question of whether to eliminate the kind of creativity that we believe our colleagues showed today back in 1984. And the voters rejected the ballot measure put forward by Gann and by Jarvis and Gann. And so we believe, again, we're on very solid legal ground. The Legislative Council, who is very wary of deviating from the two-thirds supermajority requirement, keyed this a majority vote, because it is a majority vote.
Seeing as how this was only part of the solution, how does this make it more difficult to solve the rest of the shortfall going forward?
I don't think it makes it more difficult. I mean, the fact of the matter is, if we had not acted today, the $38 billion problem would have gotten even bigger. So I think that us taking the concrete step forward that we did today is going to put us on much stronger ground in January.
You know, whether it's 38 or 41, say 40,
Right.
the 41 number, 41 minus 18 is 23. 41 minus 0 is 41.
You talked to the governor last night. Can you tell us a little bit more about that conversation? What was his reaction to this beyond the cordiality?
Well, I don't want to, you know. It was a good conversation, you know. Governor was obviously concerned, because you're hearing that some of the elements of the economic stimulus package are not exactly the way the administration drafted them. But again, I'd point out that those measures were passed today on a bipartisan basis. 11 Republican votes in the state Senate. Aside from the fact that nothing we do on the economic stimulus side is going to matter unless we make a dent on this deficit. I said it on the floor, the single biggest job killer in California is California's budget deficit. We've presented now a golden opportunity for the governor to take a 44% bite out of that deficit. We urge him to do so.
The governor vetoes, what do you do then?
Well, I don't know, have a glass of water, sit down. What are we going to do? We're going to come back. We're going to keep, I mean, the speaker and I are going to keep working, but I think she's right. My colleagues are going home as well for the holidays.
You send them home for the year?
Yes.
Yeah, we've sent them home for the year.
Well, you left a little window, as you called it, a little window that you might have to come back.
But it's I'm not sure anyone can crawl through it. It's
Able to find them to ask them to crawl through it.
I think there's at least a possibility the governor may say something that to this effect, that I'll veto this package unless you add something to it.
I don't think we should guess what the governor's going to do. Let's see what he does. Hopefully he's going to sign it. We can all then enjoy the holidays and get back to work right after the first of the year. But we'll be ready for whatever he chooses to do.
You know, we have taken a, oh, go ahead. Go ahead, come on. Sir.
I think Dan raises a good point. And I think all of you in this room have the opportunity, if the governor were to even put out some word, some suggestion, a list of things that he has not yet gotten from us that he wants to see, that only makes sense if we were in the ninth inning and we just solved the whole problem. We've got $23 billion more to
Left to
go.
go. That's right.
He's got months and months and months to continue to work on things that he didn't get. What he got was everything that Darrell just said in terms of economic stimulus, $18 billion, and life to the state. So it's not over, hardly.
And we certainly know that the next time we come and deal with this, that we need to deal with a two-thirds bipartisan solution. So if the governor does call and say that there's some additional items that he wants us to take up, we hope that it can be on a two-thirds basis, and maybe that there's a few votes that will be coming as well.
He's got plenty of negotiating power left, I think is the point.
Absolutely.
But don't throw an $18 billion solution out the window because you didn't get exactly what you wanted in the way you say you wanted it.
Either of you talk about, one of the things that the governor apparently wanted was more about state worker salaries, and in particular furloughs. Why wouldn't you give him that? What's wrong with that?
Let me try. First of all, there's a little bit of a misnomer here, because in our budget cut package, which we passed today, there is a huge reduction in state employee compensation. The only difference between what we did and what the governor suggested is that we leave it up to the state and the public employee representatives, the unions, to negotiate how that money should be saved. The governor wanted some more specificity in statute, but we take the same amount. In fact, I think, Craig, this is a key point, a larger amount of money in state employee compensation than what the governor himself proposed. We just said do it across the table.
Daryl, did the governor ever tell you that he wanted you and the other Democrats to stand up to the unions, do something that the unions didn't want you to do, some sort of symbolic gesture?
The way you just characterized it, no, not exactly. I mean, and the conversations sort of go back and forth.
Well,
Not really.
I think the way that it has been phrased is that the Democrats as well as the Republicans are going to have to do things that make both sides very uncomfortable.
Right.
And in that regard, with us,
get
it's
it.
typically considered to be the unions, and
cuts.
with the Republicans, it's taxes. We did that. We did that today, and we've done it consistently in terms of cuts. We're waiting for our colleagues on the other side of the aisle to be as uncomfortable as we are with cuts, with taxes.
$4 billion in cuts to public education, denial of cost of living increases for Social Security disability recipients, CalWORKs recipients, $132 million cut to higher education, on and on and on.
About the budget. Do you see this as kind of a one-time change or exception and anomaly,
Ooh, I hope not.
or kind of a paradigm shift in the way that the legislature deals with the budget? Is this going to be something that you come back to?
Well, I think, if I may, the speaker, I think, said it well yesterday. I said it in a different way. We want to work with our Republican colleagues in the legislature. But the higher responsibility is governing, and we will either get the job done with them, or
without them.
or we will find ways without them, and that's just the fact. No. Thank you.
Thank you.